So I want to show you something. It's not my sermon. These binders are packed to the gills. They are filled with the records of all the life cycle events I have officiated at since arriving here at Temple. It was 13 years ago today that I first walked into this sacred space as a rookie assistant rabbi, green as could be, eager to connect and create meaningful relationships. I was idealistic and optimistic in every way. On this, my Emanu El Bat Mitzvah, I remember that when I came in on July 1st, 2003, I worked just a half day. My desk was ridiculously clean and had a giant box of freshly minted business cards. I remember thinking how huge that box of cards was and wondering exactly when would I be giving them out, and that I would probably never run out of them. I remember getting measured for my black and white clergy robes and picking out personal stationery and being reintroduced to all the staff whom I had met during Houston visits for interviewing and house hunting. That afternoon, Jeff and I were consumed with the closing of our house, getting the locks changed and meeting the movers to unload and unpack our things. On that July 1st day, we had no idea what would be. We were excited, full of highest hopes and dreams of fulfilling and meaningful professional work, of children one day, of becoming part of a warm community with close friends. And we wondered, when would Houston feel like home? Who would we spend the holidays with? Would we be successful? Would we be happy here? I often reflect on our years in Houston, my work at Temple and Jeff's work at Coulter Elementary School, our children, our friends, our neighbors, our home, and I dare to whisper how truly blessed we have been. My experience, that of starting something new, looking forward and wondering what will be, is not so dissimilar from what we read about in this week's Torah portion, Shlach Lecha. Numbers 13 describes the Lord speaking to Moses, saying, "Send men to scout the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the Israelite people." The scouts, representatives from each tribe, are told to go up to the Negev land into the hill country to see what kind of land it is, what kind of people dwell there. Is it a good place or a bad place? Are the towns open or fortified? Is the soil rich or poor? And their assignment to bring back some fruit from the land. At the end of 40 days, they return from scouting the land and they give their report. The whole community learns that it is a land flowing with milk and honey, and they see the huge cluster of grapes that the scouts had cut down and carried back. The ancient Israelites also learn that the people who inhabit the land are powerful and that the cities are fortified and large. As it's often the case when a Jewish community needs to decide what direction to take, the scouts' recommendation do not present a unified message. Caleb urges the community, saying, "Let us by all means go up. We shall gain possession and overcome it." But the men who went up with him say, "We can't attack the people, for they're stronger than we are." And they terrifying the people by saying, "The country that we traversed and scouted is one that devours its settlers." Oh boy. The pessimistic message won the attention and fears of the group, who then rally against Moses and Aaron, and all is not well. The good news is that we know the end of this story. In spite of the many challenges, the questioning, the not knowing, the punishments, our tradition is that children and grandchildren of those ancient Israelites ultimately do enter the promised land. It is the land flowing with milk and honey, the land promised to our ancestors, the land that when cultivated became the desert in bloom, now a land rich in startups and technologies, a land whose successes and richness our ancestors could have never begun to imagine. Our text reminds us that each new stage in our lives, every adventure, every opportunity brings both excitement and possibility with a healthy dose of fear riding shotgun. The fear is important. It can keep us and help us to be careful and thoughtful, help us to make better decisions. We cannot be courageous if we are not first afraid. So as long as the fear doesn't hold us up or prevent us from moving forward, it is as important as the excitement and enthusiasm and hopefulness. Our portion reminds us that our sacred responsibilities include ever scouting out the next thing and going forward into new lands and experiences. Yes, we wander, but then we advance. We are not meant to stay in the desert, the dry and undeveloped parts of our life that we sojourn through and at times feel lost. The narrative of our people is one of movement and progress, of going forward and charting new paths, even those chock full of challenges. On this holiday weekend, the weekend we celebrate our independence of our nation, we feel kinship and reaffirm our spirit and connection as adventurers in a new land, living in a country that values freedom and hope and innovation and development. Our very ability to be religiously Jewish while also totally American isn't something we can ever take for granted, and is indeed something to be celebrated. May our faith be strong as we continue to scout out and engage in new opportunities with others in the world, and may these journeys be a source of tremendous blessing. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.